Republican congressman from the great state of Texas, ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and member of the House Homeland Security Committee, now in focus. Congressman, great to see you this morning. First of all, I want to get your reaction to what we're sending. I mean, the Switchblade drone that has that warhead that can penetrate those dug-in forces by the Russians, what I call an army of terrorists now. What's your thought on it?
Oh, I've been asking for these weapons for months. The president sat on this since last November, and now we're finally bringing the lethal military aid in. This is what is going to help the Ukrainians defeat the Soviets, or the Russians, I should say. The Switchblade drone is very lethal. It has a warhead attached to it. We also have Hellfire drone missiles as well. This will be, you know, we talk about the no-fly zone. I think these drones in combination with the surface-to-air missiles, the S-300, they only know how to operate Russian equipment. So that's what we're getting our allies to send in right now. The combination of those two will effectively set up a no-fly zone and shoot down these Russian planes in the sky.
Mm-hmm. That is very good detail for us to understand. The backdrop of this today cannot be mixed. And Putin put together a rally. Now, we know that they don't have freedom of speech there, so we don't know how many people voluntarily filled up that stadium of some estimated 82,000 seats. But it certainly looks full. Some of them are caught on camera smiling. Don't know how much is orchestrated in a dictatorship. But Russia today is celebrating the annexation of Crimea and rally Russians behind the war in Ukraine now. One quote from Putin's speech read this way: "I come to mind words from the Holy Scriptures, no more love as if someone gave their soul for their friends." And we see how heroically our guys act and fight during this operation. We have not had such a unity for a long time. And while Putin was still speaking, we don't know why, but state media cut away from the speech and showed a patriotic song being performed at the event. No word on why that happened. Congressman McCaul, your reaction to all of it?
Well, it's classic Putin Russian propaganda, disinformation to his own people. He doesn't want his own people to know the truth. He controls the internet. These Russian soldiers going in had no idea what the mission really was. They were lied to. They were told they were liberating Ukraine from the Nazis in many cases. And then when they show up, they don't agree with the mission. I think the morale of the Russian soldier is so low right now. In fact, we're hearing about Russian soldiers deserting on the battlefield. I think the will of the Ukrainian soldier and people is far stronger than the will of the Russian soldier. To put this in perspective, Harris, 7,000 Russian soldiers have died in 20 days. That's more than what we lost in Iraq and Afghanistan in 20 years. This is having a profound impact on Mr. Putin and his people back home. This is not how I think he envisioned it would happen.
Well, I'm curious how it looks, though, and what he's trying to show the rest of the world, because the reporting today is even if he can't fully take Ukraine right away, he's ready to continue slaughtering people. And I would imagine there's pressure from inside Russia, too, not just the people who are being arrested by the thousands in the streets campaigning against what he's doing in Ukraine, but the leadership, those oligarchs and those generals around him, the ones that he hasn't fired. I would imagine there's some pressure on him right now. They're hurting financially, and their image is just being battered. I want to get to this. Let's talk about Americans for a second. The State Department is confirming now the deaths of 2 Americans, James Whitney Hill, and we knew of the journalist Brent Renaud. President Biden, Congressman McCaul, had promised strong action, you know, the greatest of consequences in the event of American deaths. Let's watch.
We are not seeking direct confrontation with Russia, though I've been clear that if Russia targets Americans in Ukraine, we will respond forcefully.
So Hill was standing in a bread line along with 9 or 10 other people, and they were gunned down. There's no doubt about it. They were firing on people. Renaud had a press gear on. We've had other journalists hit. They know who they're hitting. So where is President Biden?
Right, severe consequences, right? Zero consequences for this. It's very reminiscent of the Obama years where the red lines were drawn in Syria and then they crossed them with chemical weapons and nothing happened. President Trump actually went in when Syria used chemical weapons and took them out. And that's a discussion I think we need to start having as well, Harris, is when he gets desperate, and I think he's starting to, at what point is he going to start throwing things like chemical weapons in, or maybe these short-range tactical nukes? And we're going to have that adult conversation. I think the administration needs to be having this conversation as well in terms of what are the red lines and what are we going to sit back and tolerate without stopping if those events happen.
So, and I don't mean to cut in because I know our time is limited. I have to ask this. And I know that you can't tell us everything. It's classified. But are talks going on about a red line? You can't just come up with a red line on the fly. There has to be a policy. There's got to be some sort of an end game to everything that you would ever start.
Yeah. I've raised this in very high-level briefings that they need to start thinking about this because when that does happen, what is going to be our response? And I think right now, it's classic, this administration. They wait, and then they react. Like, the Russians have been on the border since last March, building up, and I urged them in November to put the lethal weapons in. Now they're just coming in, and they're going to get caught flat-footed when the chemical weapons come in, which I think is a real possibility, and it's going to be a really tragic. You talk about a sad thing to watch. These chemical weapons are brutal on the ground.
Congressman Mike McCaul, with the committees that you sit on and what you know, I know so much has to be close to the vest, and we appreciate any of your time and expertise to help guide us through it. And I'm always praying that there's so much more that we don't know that can make this turn to good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Harris.
Reaction pouring in after Putin's terrifying